tonight. Congressman Kucinich, first, just give me your reaction. What was your takeaway from that debate last night?
Well, they're both qualified. They're both well qualified. I was uncomfortable watching Senator Kaine interrupt Governor Pence so many times, and the interruptions were strategic. They were, obviously planned ahead of time. And I thought that Pence did well with eye contact with the audience. He spoke to people directly, and he seemed more present for the audience.
Yeah, I think Bret Baier and Megyn Kelly timed it out to 39 times. Actually, Kaine interrupted Pence. Brad, what do you make of that? Did that help him or hurt him?
No, it hurt him. Look, Kaine came prepared to debate Donald Trump, not Mike Pence. He was debating the wrong guy and used the wrong style. And I think vice presidential debates are known for flubs in memory or missteps. I think this was a grave misstep and miscalculation by Kaine. And by the way, he reminded me of the kid who asked for more homework. Nobody likes that kid.
Yeah, me too. I agree with you. And I know you graded the candidate's performance last night. We're going to get that into a minute. In a minute, rather. But you know what? It was a strategy. It was every time Governor Pence brought up the Clinton Foundation, the emails, Clinton lies, that's when he really ramped it up and interrupted and talked on top of him. That was the strategy taken.
And something that the Wall Street Journal editorial page points out is that because Tim Kaine is not a natural bully, it didn't come naturally to him, and it just seemed obnoxious because at some point, and it wasn't that far into the debate, it was maybe a half an hour in at the most, you watch this debate and start thinking, well, this is obnoxious.
Well, I thought
I'm annoyed by this man.
I thought it was obnoxious from the get-go because the first question she asked was about leadership, and he blew up the question. And he just talked about why he trusted Hillary Clinton so much. Kaine did.
Actually, I think what they really were doing was reminding people of all the odious, terrible, racist, misogynist things that Donald Trump has said. That was the only point of Tim Kaine's interventions, was to say this is about Trump. This is about the most terrible, unqualified, scary man to be president.
I'll quote.
He did not want to debate Mike Pence
No, he didn't.
Something Ted Cruz said to Marco Rubio during one of the Republican debates. He's like, "Oh, you dumped your whole Oppo research file there on the floor, didn't you?" And that was how it came across.
I think the biggest thing that came across to me from Tim Kaine was that he was interrupting the American people. We were trying to see an honest dialogue go back and forth, and it was just, not only did he interrupt Pence, he interrupted us, because I was trying to hear what they were trying to say, and then it just went for this tit for tat. So if anything, it just turned everody off from their campaign.
But these two guests can talk about this, but it went right to your point. There was a lot of substance in there. If you could kind of part the weeds and get through the noise, there was a lot of substance that they covered.
And I thought Governor Pence really had a command of that substance. So, Brad, you graded the candidates' performance last night. Let's go through those grades. How do you think they did?
I think Pence got an A, and I think Kaine got an F, and I think the moderator got an incomplete. She lost control. She was as if she was not even there. Kaine dismissed her from the get-go. She was never able to gain control after that.
Yeah, Congressman Kucinich, I mean, was that the strategy? You know, as every time Pence brought up anything negative about Clinton, Kaine went right for the kill and started insulting Donald Trump.
Well, I mean, obviously, there was a strategic play that was unfolding throughout the debate. That's what politicians do in debates. There's a strategy. Unfortunately, though, the more interruptions that occurred, two things happened. Number one, it certainly interrupted Pence's flow. But the other thing it did is it actually, I think it demeaned Senator Kaine, who, by the way, is a person of accomplishment in his own right. And for the Clinton campaign to send him out there just to do a destroy mission on Donald Trump didn't do Senator Kaine justice, because he's got the kind of resume that would make for a legitimate, a serious vice presidential candidate.
Yeah. By the way, we've got to talk about the moderator, but when you're looking at the vice presidential candidates, one of the most important things to think about is, if something were to happen to the person in the lead of the ticket, do you want to see this person as president? That was on display last night.
Right.
Do you want to see Governor Pence as president or Senator Kaine? Judy.
Look, I think both men were quite distinguished. I mean, both men were quite assertive. They were absolutely in command of substance. It's unfortunate that Mike Pence did not get to actually articulate an entire thought without interruption. But look at the quality of those two guys. I was struck repeatedly by a heartbeat away looks pretty good, even if you disagree with the aggressive style that Tim Kaine adopted.
Well, to answer your question, Maria, I think you need to figure out which candidate you would want on a pro-life, pro-choice situation, because that was the most calm and actually tempered conversation they had that actually had substance, that you could separate the two candidates from each other. So should, you know, Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump not be president and they had to step up and serve, you're deciding between those two.
They covered everything. They covered the economy, taxation, tax cuts, more spending, health care, Social Security even, all the foreign policy issues, whether it was Iran, the rise of ISIS, Russia, you name it, they hit on even the social issues there at the very end.
Yeah, and you got to give good marks to the moderator for that. She was well prepared in terms of the questions. But the anchor and debate moderator, Elaine Quijano, received criticism because she kept interrupting the candidates last night, but she was interrupting Pence more than Kaine.
We are moving on now.
Senator, if your son or my son handled classified information the way Hillary Clinton did, they'd be court-martialed.
That is absolutely false, and you know that.
Absolutely
and you know
true.
that, Governor.
It's absolutely true.
Because the FBI did an investigation.
Gentlemen.
And they concluded that there was no reasonable prosecutor who would take it further.
Senator Kaine, Governor Pence, please.
How did she handle that, Congressman Kucinich? I mean, what factor did this moderator's interruption play in the debate? I felt, watching it from home, that, you know, Kaine wasn't being interrupted. Kaine kept interrupting Pence, but the moderator, Elaine, was interrupting Pence as well.
Well, you know, first of all, I think the moderator, under the circumstances, did a fair job. And I don't go along with the criticism of this moderator, because you had two candidates who were determined to get their point across. Kaine may be much more aggressive, so... and the second point is, remember towards the end of the debate, as the candidates went on and on, the moderator came forward and said that question was about North Korea. And there was a moment where, like, it was almost funny, because both candidates went way off topic. So, you know, I think, considering that you had these two political pros there, I think she did well, and I don't know who could have done anything different. You can't be too much of a taskmaster as a moderator, because that doesn't play either.
Yeah, that's true.
I wanted Maria there. I wanted somebody who was going to slam the table and say, would you please stop interrupting?
Wait